Investigation. When things go wrong, and we don't know why already by intelligence, we resort to investigation. When we need somebody haunted, we investigate. Investigation is the careful discovery and sorting the facts. Without good investigation, we don't have justice, we have random vengeance. When we investigate, we do so noisily always. And usually mere investigation damps out the trouble even when we discover no really pertinent facts. Remember that, by investigation alone we can curb pushes and crush wildcat people and unethical Dianetics and Scientology organizations. It's almost funny. We sometimes learn nothing useful, and yet, because people heard we were investigating, their consciences sent them into headlong flight or sudden collapse. There's power in the question alone. Here is an example. There's bad morale in a central organization. We don't know why. We try everything we can to up units and ease difficulties, and yet there's bad morale. So we investigate noisily. Remember, intelligence we get with a whisper. Investigation we do with a yell. Always. Modern cops don't really know this. They investigate with whispers. Doesn't pay. Why sneak up when pouncing is the only thing that serves us? After all, if it hasn't been whispered to us already, and we have to investigate, why keep whispering? In the low morale matter, we think over the most likely suspects, and summon them to see us. We ask them why they're talking the way they are. What's wrong anyway? We call them in one at a time. We use the E-meter. What have you been doing to us? And you sort it out. Investigation to us in Scientology is a fine art. It's like auditing. If they won't take a meter test, you know they're guilty. If they do, you can watch that needle dip a yes every time you're right, even when the suspect won't say anything verbally. You generally find that Joe is hoping to start a clinic in the town, and thinks of the organization as a rival. If the central organization got knocked out, this knucklehead thinks he'd be all set. So he has been discouraging staff, and starting rumors in the town. Did you ever realize that any local viciousness against Scientology organizations is started by somebody for a purpose? Well, it is. Look at what we do. Look how dedicated staff is. How hard they work. And yet somebody feels we're evil? No, rumors aren't natural. When you run them down, you find a commie, or a millionaire, who wants us dead, and his own clinic up, or a group member, who is also a member of the RC. You don't rest when bad rumors are about. You investigate, you run them down. You find amongst all our decent people some low worm, who has been promised high position and pay if we fail. Don't discount this. In one instance, $500,000 was paid in cash to a man to wreck Dianetics. He almost made it. Wichita, Kansas, spring 1952. But by intelligence and investigation we cost him his shirt and his spare vest as well. In cross-questioning people, it is as valuable to know what they've been told as what they've said. What bad things have you heard about the HASI? And what have you said? Are the usual questions. When you get on a line of data, follow it right through. Get the names. Write them down as you get them. Sort them out with what you already know about them. Also, when in daily actions, remember this: never let anybody ever say to you everybody says, or everybody thinks, or the field thinks. Demand at once who, when, where, and what. Everybody turns out to be some nut most people would laugh at, and the field becomes one sour grape that flunked his HPA 2 years ago. In the first place, the mail even as a whole does not reflect field opinion ever. It's only the opinion of people who write in, and that's only a small part of the field. Never permit a source of untheta to be generalized. If it's untheta, you want who, what, where, when, and you write it down and file it. The whole field, less one man, could be wildly for you, but staff can believe this silly fool's PUBLLC opinion. Public opinion isn't newspapers, or magazines, or letters. It is attendance, balance sheets, book sales. Therefore investigation must always be aimed at the specific person, the time, and the place. Else you'll sink in the morass of generality, and get nowhere. When you have found your culprit, go to the next step: judgment and punishment. Investigation by outside sources. Overt investigation of someone, or something, attacking us by an outside detective agency, should be done more often, and hang the expense. It's very effective. Often investigation by a private detective has alone closed up an untheta source, or a squirrel organization. In fact, at this writing, I can't remember a time when it hasn't. The reason for this is simple. Of 21 persons found attacking Dianetics and Scientology with rumors and untheta, 18 of them under investigation were found to be members of the Communist Party, or criminals, usually both. The smell of police or private detectives caused them to fly, to close down, to confess. Hire them, and damn the cost when you need to. Procedure on ENTHETA press. In the case of a bad magazine article, which is signed, use the following procedure. 1. Tell them by letter to retract at once in the next issue. 2. Hire a private detective of a national type firm to investigate the writer, not the magazine, and get any criminal or communist background the man has. Because all subversive activities foolishly use criminals. They have something on, and men who have been paid to attack us. You'll have data incoming from the detective agency if they do their work well. 3. Have your lawyers or solicitors write the magazine threatening suit. Hardly ever permit a real suit. They're more of a nuisance to you than they're worth. 4. Use the data you got from the detective at long last to write the author of the article a very tantalizing letter. Don't give him your data on him. Just tell him we know something very interesting about him, and wouldn't he like to come in and talk about it? If he comes, ask him to sign a confession of collusion and slander. People at that level often will just to commit suicide and publish it in a paid ad in the paper. If you get it, chances are he won't arrive, but he'll sure shudder into silence. 5. Give any new data you have from the detective to your attorneys for their use against the magazine. 6. Don't let the whole matter disrupt you, take much time, or upset the central organization. Investigating a squirrel, a person, or an organization, using Dianetics, or Scientology, wrongly, or without rights, or Wildcat magazine, is best shut down, or shut up by hiring a private detective. Tell the detective we don't care if they know you're investigating them for us. In fact, the louder the better. Detectives cost dozens of dollars, or pounds. They save thousands. When you get their data, give it to your attorneys for any action they want. Or post it. When to sue? Never, if you can help it. It consumes time, means little, but trouble for you. Suits are basically best as threats. When being investigated, if you are being investigated, or if the central organization is, sit tight, don't cooperate. Be legal, according to the laws of the land in the first place. After the Keck investigators, or reporters downstairs. Press interviews usually end up as on theta, or they are cover-ups for an investigation. Never cooperate. Be indifferent. Don't let the central organization cooperate with press ever. That's a lesson, hard to learn. Press people are so persuasive. They are going to help so much. Look at the newspaper. Is it helping anybody? Press and other queries are counter-investigation. Never spook if investigated. And don't cooperate. Sit tight. Be silent. Make the investigator talk. Gradually put him into session, if you can. Put him in birth, or get him 3 feet back of his head. But don't cooperate, or volunteer data. It's not that you've anything to hide. It's just that investigators can't duplicate. They pervert things they hear. Your whole answer to anyone is, this is an institution that has a definite high standing throughout the world. Why don't you see our attorneys? This kills press and cops alike. I've seen an outside investigation of a guiltless organization put the whole place in a flap and cost it 2 days' work, or more. I've seen an organization fall apart by suspending operation for 10 days, while it permitted itself to be investigated. So don't cooperate. If you don't scare or cringe, the menace fades away. People feel, when they're investigated, they must have done something wrong even when they haven't. If it's wrong to honestly help people, then we're wrong, not otherwise. So never spook.